Hi, this is Michael, and today I'd like to introduce you to the HIBREW H10B Espresso Machine. This is marketed as a sort of an entry-level espresso machine. However, I'm actually so impressed with this that you get so many features in this espresso machine that I'm surprised that they even market it for the beginner as opposed to anyone interested in making espresso. Now, you're going to get so many features with this that you don't normally see in an entry-level espresso machine. I want to thank HIBREW for sending this to me for review, and I'm so happy that they did because I love it. It's actually fantastic. But here's what you're going to get in the box. They give you 3 different baskets. They give you 2 double baskets. One of them is a pressurized basket, and the pressurized basket is great if you're buying pre-ground coffee, or maybe you have some older coffee laying around your house. This will be your friend. And this is for the beginner as well. It sort of takes the guesswork and all the finesse out of grinding your coffee, not having to worry so much about some of the granular things. For the more experienced person, they do provide a regular basket as well. You wouldn't want to use this with outdated coffee, but if you get freshly ground coffee from your local roaster, then this is the one you'd probably want to use. Then they also give you a single pressurized basket. Here's the portafilter. It's mostly metal, but there is some plastic on the inside where the baskets go. It's got a plastic handle, and then you also get a plastic tamper and scoop. And then here is the machine itself. Another thing that surprised me about this machine, it is mostly stainless steel, which is really nice. It looks great. It has an accurate pressure gauge on the front, which is really helpful in making sure that your grind and tamp pressure is correct. You want that pressure to be in the espresso zone. And then you have your steam wand on the side. This will also produce hot water. If you just want hot water for an Americano, you can get it right out of here. When you want steam, then you would push this button, which will raise the temperature to produce steam. Then the other buttons here, the left button is for your on and off. The next button is for your single shot of espresso, and then we have the double shot of espresso. By using the on-off button in the first button here, you can change the digital display from centigrade to Fahrenheit. Push both buttons simultaneously for about 2 seconds, and that'll change your temperature scale to Fahrenheit. Then by also using the buttons, you can change the volume that each button is going to produce. And not only that, you can change the temperature of your espresso. These are features that you don't always see. Usually you can change the volume, but not the temperature. So that is huge. That is a huge bonus. Also, you can change the temperature of the steam that's being produced. So all in all, you've got a very feature-rich machine here. Now, there's one thing I want to mention before we get too more involved. One is that the feet actually have little suction cups, so that really helps keep this positioned. And then before you use the machine the first time, when you take off the water reservoir, there is a little plastic plug. Make sure you remove that, otherwise you're not going to get very far with making espresso with this machine. So this just lifts off. You can fill it with water, put it right back on, or you can just take off the lid and fill it there. You've got a minimum and a maximum line on there, and this is a little over 1 liter. So this knob over here is what turns on either the hot water or the steam, depending on what you're going for. Once again, if you want hot water, once the machine is on, you just turn the knob and you'll get hot water. When you want steam, you just push the button. The display will indicate flashing lines. Once the temperature is displayed, then you know you're ready to go for steam. Usually takes about 30 seconds or so, maybe a little less. From a cold start, the machine will get up to operating temperature in about 20 seconds. So now we're at 302 degrees Fahrenheit. We're ready to make steam. Before you make steam, though, you do want to just clear out any water that might be in there. So just let it run a little bit until you start getting steam. And now you are ready to froth your milk with steam. And this produces a good amount of steam. I'll demonstrate that in just a little bit. So you also have a cup warmer on the top. This will get warm. You can put your cups up here. You can set really about 2 espresso cups up there, and that'll help keep them a little bit warmer. Another little trick is you might want to warm your cup up with some hot water before you start to make your espresso. And I'm still in the steam mode, so the way to get back to hot water is push that steam button again. It'll flash and the display will say hot. So we need to let the temperature get reduced before we can just get hot water. It'll do it naturally, or if you want to speed things up, you can just turn the knob and let it do its thing until that hot goes back to a lower temperature, and it will indicate that it's at that proper temperature. So once the hot water just starts coming out of here, you know that you're getting pretty close to this going off. There it goes, and now it says 198 degrees, which is just what we want for making espresso. So to make our first espresso, first of all, decide which basket you want to use. I'm going to use a pressurized basket because my coffee is old. But I'm going to show you the difference between using a pressurized and a regular basket, and you'll be amazed at the difference. I ground this coffee, but the beans I used were quite old. So basically, you're not really going to worry about the weight because we're sort of beginners, right? This is for the first-time espresso maker at home. But bottom line is you're going to end up putting probably anywhere from 12 to 14 grams of coffee in here if you want to measure it. I usually fill it kind of up to the top because I know that once I tamp it down, it's going to settle. You don't want to fill coffee all the way to the very top, otherwise it'll clog the screen that is up here in the brew head where the portafilter attaches to. So once we tap that down a little bit just to smooth it out, then we would tamp it. And you don't have to use a huge amount of pressure, but you want a nice firm tamp, and the goal is to get it nice and level. Then we just attach it onto the machine like this, and we get our cup, put it underneath. We've already pre-warmed it. So the pressure is right on target. We want it sort of in the middle of that range. It can be anywhere in that range, actually. And usually pulling a shot, we're looking for anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds is a good range. If it's too much below 20, if it's faster than 20 seconds, you need to change your grind to a finer grind or maybe tamp it a little bit harder. This was 25 seconds, which is just about right. Now, this is why you would use a pressurized basket with older beans. Look at the amount of crema that we get here. That is a lot of crema. Now, if I quickly change this to the other basket, all right, this is mind-blowing. All right, the timer went up to 22 seconds. Look at this. No crema whatsoever. That is why you use a pressurized basket with old beans. Now, another thing that I didn't mention is this does have a customizable pre-infusion. You can have 0 pre-infusion, or you can adjust it up to a 10-second pre-infusion. This is set for 5 seconds. For me, that's the ideal amount of time for the pre-infusion. Basically, the pre-infusion the idea is to get the grounds wet, to prevent channeling, and also just to help it bloom a little bit before the pressure increases and the machine makes the full shot of espresso. So the next thing I'll show you is how the steam wand works and how we'll make some froth for our espresso. And we'll just move these to the side. There's a lot of discussion about whether you should make your espresso first and then the froth, or make the froth first and then the espresso. The idea being that the longer the espresso sits there, the cooler it's going to get. It does cool fairly rapidly. So I'm going to be using whole milk, and I do have a frothing pitcher. Now, no frothing pitcher is included with this, but ideally you'd want to get a stainless steel frothing pitcher, and usually you want to fill it about 1/3 to 1/2 of the way. And then we've got our temperature already up here to 302 degrees. So I'm going to get rid of this bad espresso, and we're just going to clear the water out of the line here until it gets steam. There we go. And then when you make your froth, you want to insert this at sort of an angle underneath the top level of the milk. The idea is you want to get the milk swirling, and that injects tiny micro bubbles into the milk. The volume will basically double while you're doing this, so you have to very slowly pull the pitcher a little further down as you go. Once you've got a pretty good amount of swirl going on there and you can see that the volume is enlarging, then you want to just insert it all the way in for another few seconds. Use your hand as a guide to how hot it should be. Right now we're up to 39 seconds and it's getting pretty warm to touch. Otherwise you can scald the milk if you froth it for too long. So that's just about right. I'm going to turn this off, and you can see we've got pretty full amount of froth in there. And then you very quickly want to clean your steam wand. Once the milk solidifies on there, it's very difficult to remove. And we've got our froth here. I'm going to tap it to get some of the large bubbles out, give it a little swirl, and we should get a pretty nice froth. Wow, that is really a nice froth. I'm not too good at latte art, so don't expect any artwork from me, but I can tell you that is a very, very nice froth. And I've had a bunch of these lower price machines. Best one, seriously. Overall, really impressed with this machine. For the price and for the features that it has, it's one of the best I've seen, honestly. So that is it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer it if I can. Appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you the next time. Take care.